Architectural Builder Supply is pleased to present you with this recording of the technical question that is listed in the title of this video.
This call may be monitored and recorded for quality assurance.
Okay, you're asking if I know anything about Soss hinges. I do. I know a little bit about them.
Okay. Well, what I'm doing, what's happened is I'm putting some bifolding doors on my pool house. So I bought 40 of them all together, and outside facing my street, I got 4 80-inch doors tall, 30 inches wide, French doors. 2 of them are going to bifold together and be on one side of the frame, and the other 2 will be on the other side of the frame, which I've already put them up with the 216 hinge. And I want to guess they weigh the 2 doors on one hinge or one side probably weigh 105 pounds to 110. And I put 4 of the 216 hinges on there.
Okay.
I mean, what I'm getting at, the weight, there's a weight issue. So those I think will be all right. But now I've got 6 doors facing my pool. They're 65 pounds apiece. And I'm going to bifold 3 doors back on one frame, one side of the frame. So that's about 200 pounds.
I don't think the hinges are doing any of the work at all of hanging the doors. I think it's going to be the hanger on your bifolding track kit.
There's no bifolding track. That's the thing.
Oh, you have it hinged to the jamb, and
yeah.
Just how? So you've got it. You've got the one door hinged to the jamb, and then you've got a panel attached to it.
Panel. Yes, a door. What are you saying? A panel?
A door, sure.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're glass doors. I mean, wood glass with the glass on front. But anyway, so yeah, on the outside, I've got 4 hinges on the one side of the frame there, and then you attach the door, and then I got 4 hinges mortised, and then got the second door put on. So I got 4 hinges on one side up against the frame, and then the second door that's attached to it, I got 4 more hinges attached. And they're just on the trim itself, on the frame itself, up against the wall. There's no track or nothing.
Yeah, and you said the doors are 30-inch wide? How wide are the doors?
The doors are 30 inches wide.
And they're about 105 pounds each.
Both doors. No, one door is about 55 pounds. So the 2 doors on the 4 hinges up against the up against the hinges, altogether both doors is about 105 pounds to 110.
Yeah, the 218 really doesn't give you any substantial advantage in terms of how much weight it'll carry. You don't get a huge bump. I mean, when I'm looking at the chart, what's the total width of all doors? 60-inch.
The height.
The width. What's the total width of all doors?
The 2 doors that would be 60 inches.
Yeah, 60, and then you got about 100. Yeah, I mean, according to the chart, you should have used 218s, but definitely should have used 218s. But before you returned a whole mess of hinges, I mean, is what you've done so far not working?
Yeah, those are working. Those are working just fine. I don't think they'll sag. Because I looked up on the chart, too. It said 218 or 216 on just the 2 doors.
Uh-huh. So why? What do you need 218s for?
So I'm getting ready to hang 3 doors because that's facing the street. I'm getting ready to hang 6 doors in all.
Right.
So
All right, what's the total width of the 3 doors? How wide are all of them?
40 inches times 3, so 90 inches.
Oh God, I don't see that that's going to work at all. I mean, that's way off the chart. A 90-inch wide door. I don't know. I've never. That is so extremely wide. I couldn't see it working. I just can't see that working with any hinge. In fact, because of how wide it all is. You might need to, if you were to do that, you might need to put a caster underneath the leading edge door.
Okay.
So the problem is the chart doesn't allow me to, give you an answer from the manufacturer. My experience is such that I couldn't expect that hanging something so wide, because 70% of the weight of the door is hung by that top hinge. So, you've got so much width, and while the doors aren't really heavy, you're going to have a substantial amount of weight way off that hinge. And their chart doesn't even go out that wide. So I don't know if, it would be pure experimentation. And 218s don't really give you, a substantially greater amount of load capacity. If you were going to go with a much heavier hinge, you'd go with their Hercules series. Let's see what that chart looks like. Okay, that chart, that chart is 90. You don't have a lot of weight. Yeah, if I was going to try something, I would try their Hercules hinge, which is a far more robust hinge. But again, 90 inches off the reservation. I have no experience with anything that wide to tell you what I've seen.
What's the widest they show on that chart?
About 70 inch.
Is the widest?
Yeah.
And they show what? They show the 218 hinge with that?
Well, the problem is the chart does not yield an answer because of the confluence of width and weight. It goes off the chart. So that's the problem. It goes off the chart.
After 70 inches?
Yeah, well, I mean, even if I were to just kind of guess as to what that is, the problem is you go... Yeah, I mean, it's... It leaves the chart. The way that the nomograph works is that you line up those two intersections and you run a straight line and then over to the table, and you're off the chart at that point. Literally, I mean, if I were to extend the chart, I'd say you need, 5 of the 218s possibly, and I would put 3 of them at the top.
That's exactly what I was doing. So that's exactly what I was on doing.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I ordered the 216s yesterday, because my dad and I were discussing it. We were thinking about on the jamb itself, putting 5 on the jamb, and then 4 on each door, because you're going to have 3 doors, right? A total of 90 inches. So up against the jamb, you'll put 5 hinges.
Yeah, I would definitely, if I was going to experiment and try this, I would definitely put 3 218s at the top, and I would put 2 more below, 1 at the bottom, and then 1 kind of biased between that 3rd and 5th hinge. Just
you think
center.
I'd benefit from 6?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is yes with Soss. Soss basically says, I don't care how heavy the door is. Keep throwing hinges at it. So you would. The problem is the width. It's not that you've got a 3-foot door that's 1,000 pounds. You've got a 90-inch wide door that's not very heavy at all. So I don't know how all of that weight so far off the pivot point is going to cause the stress and load and strain on those top 3 hinges. I don't know what that's going to look like. But being someone who's done some extremely ridiculous things in the past in terms of experimentation with hardware, if I was going to experiment with that, I would do 5. I would start with 5 218s, 3 at the top, and then I would probably only do 3 between the panels. I don't think you need any. You're not carrying any.
We were going to go ahead and do 4 because I ordered enough to do 4 between the panels.
Yeah, it wouldn't hurt, but if the doors are 6'8", I don't think you need it.
Yeah, we were going to overdo it just because. I mean, do 5 up against the jamb and then 4 between each door.
Right.
So you're going to have total of, if I do 5, that's 13 hinges on 3 doors, 90 inches wide. Just 5 will be up against the jamb.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Carrying all that weight.
Yeah. Yeah. It's not heavy for Soss. It's just weird how the weight is distributed over the width. That's the concern. That's the unknown, I should say.
If it was on a track, it wouldn't be so bad, but I don't have a track.
Or if you added a caster, and that's what manufacturers do when they have obscenely heavy doors, like 3,000-pound doors on a pivot. They'll tell you you're going to have to add a caster. You're going to need a wheel underneath there. Worst case scenario, you might have to look into that. But
okay. What about the Hercules hinge?
Yeah, that is.
I have a glass panel, and I was looking online. It looks like it has a spring or something that goes up inside mortise inside there. I thought on that Hercules hinge. I'm not real sure.
No, Soss makes hinges that have springs, but all that the Hercules version of the Soss is just, that hinge can hang a 1,000-pound door. If you put enough of them on there. So it's, but I don't,
Would it work on a 2 3/4 end? Because that's what's going on is a 2 3/4 end of the door on the mortise.
You mean the 1 3/4?
I mean, yeah, I'm sorry, 1 3/4.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, it's 6 o'clock here.
yeah, right.
I spent $1,000 on these hinges. I'm freaking out. After I texted you, I was like, yeah, it's like midnight their time.
Yeah. So there is they have a 218 of H version, a Hercules version of it. I'm tempted to say that would be exceptional overkill.
Well, I would rather overkill it though.
Well,
I don't want those things dragging.
I hear you. Here's the problem: those hinges are $250 each. So I don't think you need, in my opinion, that 218 with 3 at the top, and then 2 more, and then 4 between the 2 doors. I would really try that before I did anything else. I feel like it would work. You got to soldier stack them at the top, and I'd be pretty confident that it's going to work because, I just believe that it would is the bottom line.
Okay. God, that's $1,000 if I just did the Hercules hinges up against the jamb, did Hercules hinges just on the jamb and then did the 218s.
Well, for that matter, you could do 216s. You could do, keep what you have over there. I wouldn't throw a lot of weight capacity at that over between the 2 panels. I just don't. Those hinges are doing nothing but keeping the 2 panels together.
Right. It's mostly the hinges that's what I'm worried about is the jamb.
Right.
Holding up all 3 doors which is 90 inches wide, 200 pounds. So that's where the worry comes in, the sag.
Those hinges won't sag. They're just not. I don't think they're going to sag at all.
Where about you get the sag at? You think it's going to be in the gym?
I don't think these hinges will sag whatsoever. I don't think there's any possible way that you take 200 pounds and force a Soss hinge to sag. I've seen a sagged Soss hinge. It's when someone sat on top of the door. They put an extra, it's when someone has substantially abused the Soss hinge is the only time that I've seen it sag.
Okay.
That hinge is not going to. You got laminated plates of steel. It's riveted together. Their sag is not what they're going to do. The only issue you might have over time is if you had something like pine or a soft species of wood. You've got to make sure that you've got those screws in there proper, meaning the proper hole's been pre-drilled, and you've got that screw sunk. And if you can get it into hardwood, that would be better. It's just screw withdrawal strength is going to be more important in the long term when it comes, because what's going to happen is that 90 inch is going to want to pull it away from the jam, not force it down. And I think.
You know what else I was thinking about doing? So the screws that you give me to screw into the jam, I don't know, they're an inch long or inch and a quarter or something long.
Yeah, you need 3-inch screws. Yeah.
I was thinking about going to a 2-inch, 3-inch screw, the exact same screw, but pulling those screws out and putting like you said, a 3-inch or a 2.5-inch screw into that door and jam.
Yeah, you've got to sink them into the jam really well. Absolutely.
That's what I was thinking is, because I've already got 4 doors hung, which is 2 doors bifolding one way and 2 doors bifolding the other way. They're French doors. And like I said, the 2 doors on one jam right now on 216s, I'm looking at it. It works real well. And I've got 4 216s hung up against the jam. And then 4 216s hung between the 2 doors.
Mm-hmm.
And it works real well. There's no track on them, and it's working real well. So I'm not real concerned about that. Are you? Being 105 pounds and it's 60 inches wide?
No. You know why? Because that's not heavy. 105 pounds is not very heavy at all.
Okay.
I wouldn't.
Well, then that's a non-issue. Yeah, because I've already hung those.
Yeah, I mean,
So
speaking of hung, I wouldn't hold my hands up there and do chin-ups on that outer leaf, but, adult use, I don't think there'd be any trouble with it at all.
Okay, well then let's go back to my original problem, the 6 doors, 3 hanging 90 inches wide. So definitely do the 218, don't even worry about doing the Hercules is what you're saying.
I would
definitely. Hinges are so high.
Yeah, it's just, that's made for, if you took a 200-pound door and then you hung 500 pounds of granite on it, that's what that door is made for. I mean, it's made for really crazy applications where you have obscene amounts of weight, like lead line doors. If you go to the hospital, you got a door with, a 1/4-inch lead because of what's happening in that room. Yeah, that door is going to be over 1,000 pounds. But I would.
Let me ask you this. What happens if, say, I did that very top hinge up against the jam and did just like one Hercules hinge? Because that's where a lot of your weight's coming at the top.
That's where almost all of it is. Yeah.
What if I just did like one Hercules hinge at the very top and then did 218s all the way through?
That wouldn't work, and the reason is because if you took that Soss hinge in your hand and you moved it from closed to like 90 to 180, keep your eyes on that center pivot pin, that rivet pin. That arc or the axis of pivoting is going to be different between a Hercules and a standard Soss hinge. Okay. So the vertical axis of pivoting you can't mix and match.
Okay, all right. So you think experimental, do the 218s. Hell, I might even do 6 then, just to overkill it.
Well, having said that, you could also put a continuous geared hinge. I mean, you're going to see the hinge, but a continuous, it's just basically a heavy-duty piano hinge. That would absolutely, eliminate the, that would not sag. but it's not concealed hardware. But if I was going to do this, I would stick with 216s between the doors. There's just no reason to go with, in my opinion, to go with a heavier hinge there. And then I would do, how tall are the doors?
They're 80 inches.
Okay, so they're short.
79.5 or so.
Yeah, if it was me, I would do 3 at the top. I would do 2 below, 218s, because you've got 1 3/4 thick on the jambs only, and I would reuse the 218s between the doors. There's, that's what I would personally do. The 216s, yes sir, yes sir.
Because I ordered 40 of these things in all, and I've got 24 of them. I don't know how I didn't catch that, but I was looking on the internet. I was like, God dang it! I was like, because we started talking about sagging and this and that, and that's when I started doing more research. And I was like, why didn't I catch that? Anyway, so yeah,
well, it might still work. I mean, what you've done so far works, and if it works, it's. I don't know. I will be very curious to hear your results.
Well, I definitely want to put the 218 hinge. I don't know what the difference is there, because it looks like to me, you got 2 screws that screw in there or 4 on each hinge up against the jamb, compared to the 216 has 2 screws each. What's the difference between the 2 hinges?
Well, the 218 is probably 20% bigger. It's just, in 20%, if you go with a hinge that's 5-inch tall versus 4.5-inch, you're getting about 22% greater capacity to carry weight. So the fact that it's a taller hinge and all the constituent components are larger as well, that's where that greater capacity comes in. Now, when you look at the chart, it doesn't really, you don't pick up a substantial amount of weight capacity when you go from a 216 to a 218. There's not a huge difference. But I wouldn't consider a 216 for this, just because that's what you would use for an 1 3/8, interior door.
Interior hinges on the outside is what I'm doing.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing is you could try put 5 216s on there, rather than the 4 that you have. Put 3 at the top and then 2 more. And I'm saying that only because you don't get a huge bump in weight capacity when you go to a 218.
Well, I'd rather get a little bit of a bump, though.
Well,
being experimental. Sure. I would rather kind of try to overkill it. Hell, I might even do 6 hinges on the gym. I don't know if that'll make a difference.
I have, I've seen applications like this, and they, in the sense where they've used a lot, like 6 or 8 hinges on an 8-foot door, and the problem is they equally space them. You've got to really stuff as many of them at the top as possible. And I don't know if going from 3 to 4 is going to, I think you've got to start somewhere, and probably 5 218s is what I would end up doing if I was going to consider a 90-inch wide opening.
Okay. So I'm probably just, if they'll return them, I'm probably going to do the 218 all the way through, just because. Okay,
yeah, for uniformity. I get that. Sure.
Yeah, and just, I don't know. Yeah, I understand you're not having a whole lot of weight once you get out towards the other 2 doors, but I don't know. But now, restocking fee. What kind of restocking fee?
No idea. Corey only works Monday through Friday. He's on the West Coast. He handles all returns. He contacts the factory. What are the terms and conditions? I don't know. I just,
they're read like a 35% restocking fee. I was like, holy Jesus.
Yeah, well, I mean, the problem is the blanket answer from Soss is probably going to be something like, no. I mean, after, I don't know what their terms in terms of how long before they want something returned, or they'll just say no. What you've got going in your advantage is you're saying, whoa, I'm not returning these. I need these. Sell me these. And by the way, I don't need these. That's a different, I see very different answers come when someone has bought something and just, a bigger size, so to speak.
Yeah, I just wanted to exchange them. Now,
Yeah.
the 218 to the 216 hinge, what's the difference in price?
It's noticeable. Let's take a look. 53.18 on the 218, and the 216 is about $38. So it's 30% higher.
Okay, that's not real bad. Okay, geez. If I'm looking at 20, let's see, I've got 3 doors. I'm going to do 5, 4, and 4 on each side. How many is that? That's 13. So I need 26 hinges. This is what I need. What's the cost of that?
I wasn't doing the math. If 26 is correct, 26 of those hinges with freight is about $1,425.
$1,425.
Yes, sir, for 26 of the 218s in black.
Okay. How long are you gonna be working today?
Till about 1 Eastern. I'm going to be out at 1 o'clock Eastern, but I'll be here till then.
Okay. I'm gonna talk to my dad about it. He's the one with 40 years experience, and I'm gonna talk to him. I'm definitely gonna order the hinges, but I want to see if he wants to do the 216s further out and his thoughts on it, because you're saying that would probably be all right.
I would,
And
yeah. Those hinges are just there. They're along for the party. That's it. And I wouldn't worry about any of that. I would personally use 216s between the doors. I understand 218s because you got one setup. You're not having to pull out a different template. You know, you can kind of get in a groove and mortise and route and move on. But you know, you got $20 a hinge times. You know, that's money that I don't think that you need to spend, in my opinion.
Okay. All right. Let me talk this over, and I will be calling you back. What was your name again?
Richard.
Richard. Man, I appreciate it. You're very helpful.
I'm glad you called, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So the difference in mortising between the 218 and the 216 is just a matter of looking at the template. So let's take a look. Specifically, what dimension should I look at?
Well, what it is I bought it's a 1-inch bit that we're mortising with, because that's what the 216 takes for the depth, wide, width.
Yeah, the width of the face. Yeah, huh?
Yeah. Is it the same on the 218?
No, it's 1.1 on a 218.
It's 1.1. Okay. That's really the only difference, though, isn't it?
The length is the same. No, it's not. They're not identical. You're going to mortise deeper for a 218 as well, so it'll be. But the length is the same though. They're both 4 5/8 tall.
Okay. What's the difference in the depth?
So the 216 is about 1.5 inches, like 1.47 inch. The 218 is 1 divided by 64 times 41. It's 1.64, so it's just heavy on 1 5/8. So it's like 3/16 of an inch deeper. Well, bigger than that, but very slightly. Yeah, about 3/16 deeper.
3/16 and 1.1 wider.
It's an 1/8 inch wider and 3/16 deeper.
3/16 deeper. Okay. Now, what about the screws? Do you sell the longer screws?
So I certainly sell screws that are longer, but I'm not going to have black screws. You know, I could ask the factory if they have longer original black screws, but that might be getting some screws and then some black nail polish kind of thing.
Yeah.
Or having somebody powder coat them if you really wanted to go nuts with it.
Okay. Is there anything special about those screws?
Not at all. They're just wood screws, flathead wood screws.
Okay. All right.
Other than black, there's nothing unusual about those screws.
Okay, because I found one at like Ace Hardware that was like
Sure.
2 inches long, but I'm thinking I can order them as long as they're just a regular screw and they match. I think all they are is a 14.
On the 218, it's a number 10 screw.
Oh, it's a number.
Except that you have 4 of them on the hinge rather than just 2.
They're smaller.
They're smaller, but there's double the quantity of screws.
And they're a 14 on the 216, aren't they?
That's right.
Okay. Okay. So if I went ahead and bought these hinges, it's just for the jam side, 10 of them, the 218s,
Mm-hmm.
and then doing like you're saying, do the 216s on the other 2 doors.
Right.
Work just fine in your opinion.
That if I'm the guy who took a 180-gallon fish tank and hung it from the ceiling in my basement. So a lot of what I did to do that was just like guesswork, what I think is going to work. And if I was going to step in, if I was going to dip my toe in that pool, that's exactly what I would do. I would do the 218s on the outside. I'd leave the 216s in the middle. They're just along for the ride.
I wonder if I should do 5 of the 216s and do overkill on the doors in the middle.
I personally don't see a reason to do that, because that outer panel hinge to the inner panel he's just hanging out. he's just keeping the door there.
Well, I'm thinking the 2 doors. Once you get that one door hung, then you got 2 more doors to hang, which is 60 inches wide, but you're going to have 130 pounds hanging off that one door.
True, but the width is only 30 inch in terms of those hinges. You're talking about your set of 3 doors?
Yes, I have a set of 3 doors total.
Yeah, 3 doors. That's right. Yeah.
It's 90 inches wide, so I'm going to put the 5 218s up against the gym. Then I'm going to start on my second door, right? I'm wondering if I should just do 5 216s there.
Yeah.
Because you still got 2 doors you're hanging at 130 pounds.
Yeah, I would agree with adding more hinges between the first and second panel. I would agree with that. I would use 216. I would do what you're saying. I would agree with that.
Okay. So 5 218s up against the gym, and then to make it look uniformed, I'm going to do 5 216s and 5 216s, just so it looks uniformed when you got it opened.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, when you've got them opened up, you'll be able to see those hinges. At least. You'll kind of see them. You'll see the 2. You'll see on one side. You'll see 2.
So I'm actually only needing to return 4 hinges in reality.
Yeah.
I'll have to surely. So what if I buy these hinges from you today? Can you put in a good word for me on Monday saying, hey, look, he's just exchanging these. He already bought the others.
Oh, it's not a matter of me putting in a good word. That's exactly how it works. When they see a new order, they kind of get their eraser out and they make things like that go away or make it as close to pain-free as possible. It's not.
Well, I was just saying if I bought these from you today, then I call in Monday and get a different guy, and he's like, wait a minute.
Yeah, no, he will definitely be aware of the reorder. There's no doubt about it. Yes, I will make him aware of that. It's no question.
Okay. So, I guess, will they ship today, or how will that work?
Monday.
Okay, that's fine.
Monday's when they ship.
Did you cancel that other order I placed yesterday?
I did.
Okay. Well, then I need to go ahead and order 10 of the 218s.
10 of the 218s. Okay, I will enter that order. What is the credit card to bill to?
Give me 1 second. I should have been prepared. I'm transferring money. It'll take me about 30 seconds, literally.
Take your time.
Architectural Builders Supply hopes you have enjoyed this program.